Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ms. TV Total Football. I've been waiting. I've been waiting patiently for Alexander Isak to finally come out publicly and make a statement in regards to the kerfuffle, in regards to the shenanigans that's been taking place. Look, obviously, I've got my perspective. You guys all have your perspective. Newcastle fans have their perspective. Rival fans have their own perspective. I'm here to only talk about how I see this, and I want you guys to comment below how you see the entire thing. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Look, what I've witnessed over the transfer window so far is that Alexander Isak, there's no two ways about it. This whole situation is ugly now. Between Isak and Newcastle, it is severely ugly. But I also feel like Alexander Isak has been done massively here. He's been done a dirty. Newcastle have done Alexander Isak an incredible dirty job. That's how I see it. And because of all of that, Alexander Isak has been copying, insults. He's been getting abused online, left, right, and center. Excuse me. There are Newcastle fans out there that are burning his jersey. Some Newcastle fans are even hoping that he gets an injury. That's how sour, that's how vile this has turned out to be. Now, why do I feel Newcastle has done Alexander Isak dirty? Well, before I get into that, let's have a look at what Isak had to say in the public statement. He put it out on his Instagram story today off the back of the awards, PFA awards that took place. And this is what he had to say. Well, look, I don't know whether this is completely clear, but this was the Instagram story. Fabrizio Romano has actually put out the whole thing. So let's read it. Breaking. Alexander Isak releases statement. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. I am proud to be recognized by my fellow professionals with a place in the Premier League team of the season for 2024-25. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everyone at Newcastle United who has supported me along the way. I'm not at the ceremony tonight. With everything going on, I didn't feel right to be there. I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. There you go. I mean, this is huge. This sentence in itself is huge. The reality is that promises were made and the club has known my position for a long time. Once again, huge statement. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. Huge. That's where things are for me right now and why change is the best interest for everyone, not just myself. Incredible statement. Powerful, impactful, brutal, and it needed to be. Now, let me tell you my side of the story and how I see this whole transfer saga and this ugly situation. There's literally videos on social media. I don't know why some people are trying to, act dumb or they don't remember or they're pretending. I don't know what it is. There's actual videos of Isak wanting to leave, not him personally saying it, but David Ornstein, for example, way back in March this year, was saying that there is some talks about Isak perhaps leaving Newcastle United at the end of last season. There was rumors. There was always rumors around the January period, January transfer window, that maybe Liverpool's sniffing around. This is not, wherever there is smoke, there is some level of fire. Okay, that's what I always say. These are not some sort of make-believe stories that the journalists have just cooked up. No, these were informations that were coming from the players' side. There's also a lot of documented comments and quotes that Isak had said to Newcastle way back last summer window that last season would be his final season with Newcastle United And apparently, as you saw in the statement that Isak has put out, that there was a promise. There was a promise that was made. And I'm pretty sure the promise was that he has said to Newcastle, look, this is my final season. I'm letting you guys know to find a solution and let me go in the summer window. Now, some people are saying this could be untrue. This is a lie. This is just a statement from the player's side. He's being disingenuous. Are you kidding me? This player is literally going to come out publicly to millions and put out a statement that he thinks is a lie? I don't think it's a lie. I think he's putting the statement from his perspective and how he sees it. Now, Newcastle, I'm pretty sure there's reports coming out that Newcastle will also put on a public statement very soon off the back of this, because they feel like, they don't want to get their name tarnished. But I think this is exactly what has happened. I think Isak has said, and a lot of people are trying to say, Isak said that he might, there was reports as well that Isak might stay if Newcastle gets Champions League football. I don't think so. Let me tell you guys something. Now. As much as, Newcastle fans, you guys are fantastic. You're a top club, no doubts about that. Your fan base is immense. The fan base that they have in Newcastle is immense. But ultimately, and this is the harsh truth, you're not a global club. I'm sorry to say. And then it's shown in the transfer window. You're getting rejected by top players left, right, and center. You're not a global, phenomenon. You're not a global powerhouse. You're still Newcastle, which is big, but big in the United Kingdom, not really outside of it. Isak, it's not far-fetched to think that he would have given some sort of an indication to Newcastle that he wants to go. Now, I know he's got a contract, but he knows how good he is as well. He knows how good he is. And it's not like Newcastle are going to get out of this situation with no money. I don't know exactly how much the Newcastle bought Isak for, but they're about to get paid handsomely from Liverpool. I know Liverpool's initial bid of 110 million or something is, not good enough, but I'm sure Liverpool will come back and put something around 120 million, 130 million with add-ons included. And that, it's not like you're leaving this situation with empty-handed, Newcastle. And it's not like Isak's on huge wages. Isak knows how good he is. Yes, Isak got the break. It wasn't like as if he was doing bad in La Liga either. He was doing pretty all right. Obviously came to Newcastle and got his break, of course. And I'm pretty certain he's grateful about that. But he also knows his quality. And I think Newcastle, he needs to know that you're just not there yet to keep players like Isak. And there will be down the track more players that will follow suit like that. You think Anthony Gordon's going to stay there forever? It's going to take a little bit of time for Newcastle to become that club, that top global club. It'll take time. Winning trophies obviously helps. Last season, they won the Carabao Cup. This season, they need to win something as well. But right now, it's still, Newcastle are not a powerhouse globally. Not that long ago, Newcastle were relegated. Literally not that long ago. They were in the Championship and they were, coming in and out from the Championship. So, look, the way I see this Isak situation, and another indication is that why did Newcastle from the get-go were going after João Pedro, were going after Ekitike, were going after Sesko? Why were you going after all of these strikers? And please don't tell me you were thinking about playing a two-man striker. Your PSR is a problem for you. You can't afford wages. You can't afford to just bring in players. You need to sell. This is the fact. Your financial situation is poor. So why were you going for all of these strikers? Why did you bid such a huge money for Ekitike? What, knowing that you're just going to fork out 90 million euros without letting go of Isak? The problem is, Newcastle, this is how I see it. There must have been some promise. Newcastle, because I don't believe this player simply is just coming out and just talking nonsense. I don't believe that. There must have been some promise. Now, it probably wasn't documented, of course, but the player the agent, the club, they all felt that they're in the same page and they'll honor it. What has happened here is Newcastle has failed to get a replacement for Isak all throughout the period. And now they're in a sticky situation where they're like, wow, we don't have a replacement lined up. We can't let this guy go anymore. We've got Champions League football. The window is about to close in less than 2 weeks. We're in trouble. And now you're forcing the player to return back. He doesn't want to train with you guys. Public, insults, abuse, left, right, and center towards the player. I feel like Newcastle, you've royally screwed this up. You have. Yeah, people will say, oh, Miz, you don't know. It's not happening to your club. Well, trust me, it's happened to Chelsea Football Club as well previously. Romelu Lukaku, not that long ago. Yeah, the player didn't want to be with us anymore. We didn't want to keep him either. We loaned him out here and there, whatnot. Look, I still believe a solution will be met 100%, but I do feel Isak is getting hard done by. I really do feel that. This is what Fabrizio Romano said. Alexander Isak makes his move, and it was always clear since July he only wants Liverpool. He doesn't even want to discuss any other options with Newcastle and even considered Al Hilal despite reports, and never considered Al Hilal despite reports. Liverpool Football Club. There you go. So what Ben Jacob had to say, Alexander Isak hints at the lack of new contract 12 months ago as being key in his desire to leave Newcastle. Statement, a clear indication he doesn't plan to reintegrate. This is, do you know what? This is a very good point from Ben Jacobs. I don't always give him credit, but you see, when the only way I can sort of relate to this is what happened to Chelsea Football Club. I remember off the back of the first season for Cole Palmer, where he was supreme. And Cole Palmer already had a long-term contract. We gave him a new contract with bumper money increase because of the, breakthrough season that he had. Newcastle saw the kind of player Isak was. They really should have started negotiating. If they wanted to keep him for a longer period, they should have started negotiating a lot earlier and not 12 months ago. And it looks like 12 months ago, this is when Isak was a little bit annoyed by the situation that Newcastle hasn't arrived with a new contract. And then, you know what? Let's move on. And I get it. Newcastle probably didn't arrive with a new contract because financially they can't. Liverpool are prepared to bid again if given encouragement. Understand 120 million British transfer record ballpark remains Liverpool's valuation. I really do think, look, Isak is probably worth about 150 million. I get that. But you're not going to get 150 million now anymore, Newcastle, because the player wants to leave. So now you're going to have to give it as a discount. But I do understand the player's worth 150 million. Newcastle, you're going to be royally screwed if you don't let the player go. I'll tell you why, because the player doesn't want to play for you. How can you continue on the season knowing the player has no desire to represent you anymore? It doesn't help anyone here. Financially, you're getting screwed. You're about to collect 120 million and you're not going to collect that. The value will only decrease substantially if the window closes and Isak goes on strike and he doesn't want to represent you. Sure, he'll probably say, you know what, cut my wages, sue me, whatever you want to do, cut my wages, sue me. I'm not staying here. It doesn't help anyone. It's pretty much what Garnacho said the same thing with Man United. I'm not representing you anymore. I'm leaving. And if I don't get another club, which is Chelsea, then I'm happy to just not show up to work. Either you pay me or you go court or whatever you want to do. It's not a good situation for Newcastle. And Newcastle could do with that money and go out there. And I get it. As soon as they get the money, whoever they want to try and go for, everything's going to be hiked up. Unlikely should a new bid materialize, it will be close to 150 million. Not a number, there you go, Liverpool have ever been directly quoted. That's what I've always said. Newcastle, I think, are waiting for that 150 million mark, but it's not going to happen when the player himself wants to leave. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my perspective on it. I know a lot of you Newcastle fans that are going to be watching this, you're going to disagree, but I feel like the player has given you ample time to go out there and find a replacement, and he's given you the notice, I feel, 12 months ago, and he's said it. He's publicly said it. Now, to call him a liar straight to his face when he's publicly posted this for millions to see, I think that's mad. I think that is really, really mad. Let's see what Newcastle has to say. I'm pretty sure they're going to come up with a statement very, very soon. But this situation is absolutely ugly. And I feel like Newcastle has done Isak a major dirty here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Smash up the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe. Hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Till next time. Take care. See ya.